live. It's live? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Today's podcast is going to be on content writing, copywriting, and search engine optimization, or as it's known as everybody else, SEO. And welcome to the Renaissance Humanism podcast, YouTube. And please follow me on my blog, on my social media. Okay. When it comes to actually developing your SEO for beginners, I recommend either reading Google books on SEO, on SEO analytics, on different analytics, and also books on SEO. You want to read the newest versions, not the old versions. I also recommend getting the plugin for WordPress or going on the website itself. It's called Yoast, WOAT. If you go on there, it actually tells you what you need to do to get good SEO content. Now, when it comes to actually creating your SEO, you also want to be aware that the way SEO is done, it does change. The people actually own Google, the search engine Google. Now, a search engine is something like Google, something like Microsoft Explorer. They're different kind of search engine. See, those search engines are controlled by the companies, for example, Google. And what they do, if they realize that some people's content or something's not working with the algorithm, then they make changes, stop people from jumping the algorithm in order to create better content. For example, in the old days, when people used to try to get rank higher on the SEO, now ranking higher is basically people watch sites, people go on sites, to watch podcasts, that kind of thing. And as people go on these sites, as people go on these websites, ranking get higher and higher because it's trusted, because they get so many thousands, so many hundreds of views, so many millions of views. So it gets trusted. So more and more people go to those websites. For example, Amazon. If you have a product on Amazon, if you get people to actually start buying your product, you get more and more people funneled there by Amazon just because you're seen as trusted. Your product's seen as trusted. People are buying your product. People are reading reviews. That's being trusted. And because you're being trusted, you're going to get more customers. Now, for that itself, that has partly changed because Google have launched their own store like Amazon. Because Amazon and Google, they're in competition now. So now Google is no longer being as favorable to Amazon because they want people to use Google products, Google services, not Amazon. So you want to be aware of things like that as well. Now, back to the outfit. In the old days, people, they used to be like content fabs. Content fabs, you just, rather than creating good quality content, you're just creating shite. You're just putting stuff on the, like, see this video in this YouTube video. You can put this YouTube video onto a website, or you can put like garbage content on, and then that'll end up ranking your content higher and higher and higher because there's more and more content on there. And people used to do that in order to make money. That's stopped now, just because Google want to make sure there's a better service for its users. They put the users first, its customers. So that's no longer doable. You could still create YouTube videos and stick them onto a blog, because I do it with myself. I record a video, YouTube, on Anchor, on Spotify, and I post them also onto my blog as well. You can do that yourself rather than actually writing content. Rather than doing like 1,000 words content, will take you about between 1 to 3 hours. You can actually just do a simple video or a simple MP3. That's like, rather than doing a video, you can just record it by normal audio and you put it on your blog with like a couple of words explaining what it's about. That's a new option for your own content strategy as well. Now, as for your SEO, you want your title to be no longer than 6 words, just because when people type in the search and say somebody's going to type in digital marketing, that's too vague. You type in SEO digital marketing, you type in digital marketing, copywriting, or be more specific with what we're actually looking for. If you're more specific for the person that they're looking for the content, that makes it a lot easier for them. So if somebody wants to type in hardwoods, they're going to type in the specific kind of hardwood. So that means if you're writing a blog post about what is the best kinds of uh, hard wood, it'll be easier for them to understand. It's damn sight simpler. Like if you say, like if you talk about a computer game, like a good shooting game, rather than saying shooting game, you put Halo game or Mass Effect game. What kind of Mass Effect? 1, 2, 3, or 4? That kind of thing. It should be pretty simple to understand. If you've got any questions, message me on my LinkedIn. I'll do my best to answer you. I'll leave it in the comment section. I'll try and get back to you, but it's pretty straightforward. Now, as for how you structure your sentences, for starters, how you do your title, you want a small paragraph. I'd say anything between 150 to 250 words. Now, for that paragraph, the sentences don't want to be no longer than 2 to 3 lines. This makes it more scannable. It's more SEO friendly as well, because people don't read internet contact the way that we would read a book. All it is skimming. It's skim reading. People are just skimming this content. They're not actually reading it. So what you want to do, you want to space it out so it's easier to scan, easier to read. That's 2 to 3 words. And for every new heading, you want heading 1, 2, 3, and 4. You don't want heading 1 because heading 1 is actually for the title. Heading 2, that's a new subheading. You want heading 2. You'll find that if you're using something like WordPress as the in there already for new headings. Also, you can write your blog on a free platform called Google Docs. So you can write in Google Docs. So when you put content in Google Docs, you can actually select headings. So heading 1 will be for your title or title. It depends which one it says. So then you want to go for that. Heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, and heading 5. So that's pretty straightforward, that is. Now, as for the length of your content, I would say you don't want it going past 1,000 words if you're doing this kind of SEO content. Just because people are not really going to continue reading 1,000 words. It's not a newspaper article. It's not a well-informed piece. It's not going into really detail. So for that kind of content writing, the kind of copywriting, you want to keep it as short as you can. I would say you want it between 500 to 750 words. If you prefer writing long form, I'd say that's anything past 1,000 words, then go for it. If you're more comfortable writing big pieces, that's what I recommend that you're doing. Now, also, when you're actually in the body of the content, you want your keywords. Your keywords are due linked to your title or a particular word inside your content that people are actually going to try and look for. So you're talking about like Donald Trump. You put Donald Trump as a keyword. Or if that's not specific enough, you want to try to find good keywords that people are actually searching for. So as I said, the hardwood example. So say somebody wants a particular kind of coffee table. You actually put that particular kind of coffee table into the content itself. Like this is a microphone, but this is a Samsung microphone. Like you put like Samsung microphone, Apple One, Apple Two, Apple Three, that kind of electric products. Be specific. Now, I'd say for about 500 words, you want 2 to 3 keywords. For 1,000 words, I would say, I'm trying to think now, I think it's between 6 to 8 keywords. But I will check that out. I recommend really getting Yoast. Get Yoast as a plugin to go into your WordPress or for your own personal use as well. That'll just tell you how many keywords you actually want. It's usually between 6 or 8. But as I said, this is being produced going live on the 9th of the 5th, 2022. So if you're watching this again in 6 months' time, the information could have changed. They could have changed the algorithms again. So you want to watch out for that. Also, you're going to put in a meta description as well. If you're doing a website, you want a meta description. It's usually between 2 to 3 lines. No longer than that. You want to keep it brief and to the point. Also, when it comes to this SEO stuff, you've also got to think about readability as well. Is it readable? So people don't understand like inference. They don't understand inferring words. They don't understand really wordy words. So you don't want big words. For example, the word ablutions. People don't know what the word ablutions mean. It means to shit. See, people don't understand that. It's same with like the and sign as well. If you put an and sign, people read it and they'll say, "What the fuck's this? What is this? What is this?" They don't understand. They don't understand. So you'll notice that they won't understand. I say it's not to be, you know, negative to people that don't understand what the and sign is or what the ablutions are. It's just a fact. See, when it comes to this kind of writing, copywriting, content writing, depending what your particular niche is, what field you're in, for something like this, um, your writing ability doesn't need to be anything past 12 to 13 years old, just because at that stage of life, people tend not to keep on learning. Education puts people off educating themselves, off people reading a book. These something like this, people are not going to pick something like this up. The global political economy, people aren't going to read that. So if you're going to use like sophisticated language, they're not going to understand. You got to dumb yourself down. You got to dumb your language down. You want to keep your language as simple as possible. That's the way I personally write for that kind of content, and also the way I do a podcast as well. I try to keep my language simple and just make sure that I'm articulating myself as simple as I can. I don't want to use anything too complicated. I don't want to confuse people. And that's the same thing that you want to do for your writing as well. Unless you're doing like medical writing or financial writing, you're talking about like different kind of stocks, different kinds of investment plans, different kinds of content writing, or different anything really like technological stuff. Something like that, you're going to have to get more technical with, more complicated with, use bigger words, use the correct phrases. But for something like that, like copywriting, you want to keep it simple, straightforward. Nothing really. What you want to do if you're like gone to university, you want to forget what you learned there. In the sense the way that you don't write in the academic style. What you learn from high school, what you learn from college, what you learn from university, unless you actually did an English literature course or a marketing course, that's this. Unless you're doing something like that, all the other stuff won't help you, because you do not write. You almost write the way you speak as well. That you're deliberately talking to the audience directly. So that's something to keep in mind actually when you actually start doing your own writing. If you go on my LinkedIn, there's a link to my website, Renaissance Humanism blog, and there's also a link to my portfolio. That's in a normal Google Doc. You can look through it. You can't actually access it. Well, you can access it, but you can't like make changes to it. But you can look through that. You can see what I mean, the way that I use my language. So again, keep it simple. Now, this kind of writing might be for you as well. You might want to dumb down your writing, make it more simpler. You might just want to like really get into your academic writing. So it depends what kind of professional you want to be, what kind of writer you want to be. If you want to write for a newspaper, I'm afraid you're going to have to alter the way you speak again. Because if you talk about Pluto, Marcus Aurelius, or how the Roman Empire fell and its 3 different strategies to protecting the borders, unless you write for like a historical magazine, people are not going to understand that. Our historical memory in this country, and I would say in the West in general, maybe even the world, doesn't go past 1945. And in some cases, don't even go past when you were born. So if I've imagined like a few others experience, if I say to them, do you know who Adolf Hitler is? Do you know who Mussolini is? Do you even know who Churchill is? They think that Churchill's a nodding dog because not within their life experience. Like, most people do not read books. You got to remember that most people don't read, embark on self-education. That's not normal. So when you're writing, you got to understand you're speaking to people that actually no idea what you're talking about. I mean, I recently did a piece using SEO on whether or not what's it called again? Tesla's a company as their electric vehicles, EV vehicles, the electric vehicles, is actually sustainable and professional, and like, is it a good investment for the future? So when I talked about EV vehicles, I didn't use the word EV. I used electric vehicles because people might not know what EV stands for. So you want to put with something like that, you want to put down electric vehicles, then in brackets you put EV. But I would say throughout it all, put down electric vehicles because people will not understand. It's saying with words like market share. You're gonna have to explain what market share is. Market share is the like Tesla at the moment own about 14. That's 14% of the EV market. That's the electric vehicle market. The other percent is owned by its competitors. So you see that say like if you have like 500 pencils. No, say there's 100. Say there's so many pencils and there's 60 million pencils. I say I control half of that. That means I control half of those pencils and its market share. So if something like that, you're gonna have to explain to the customer, to the reader, to the users, whatever language you want to use, and just explain it to them in a simplest way as possible. See, something like that can also actually greatly expand your copy as well. So you might be planning for something like that. You might think you can do it in like 400 words, 500 words, and then you realize that if you got to explain everything, that's another 800 words on top of that. So you can get your content, you can stretch your content as well just for explaining, because you got to explain it to the customer, explain it to the user. Now, I would also say when it comes to your content as well, to your SEO, you might have to explain this to your clients because they might not understand, or they might want it done in a particular way. Another thing I would also add that when you also do an SEO, you want images as well, because people are visual. People get information from through like pictures and like talking as well, and like YouTube clips, something like that. If you add that into your body copy, like 2 or 3 pieces, doing max as long as like some images in and breaking up the content, that's a big plus for people actually reading your content, looking at the screens. It might be easier just doing a 30-second video. I think that's covers everything for today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Let me know what you think, and hope you enjoyed today's stream. Please join me next time. Thank you.